Welcome, everyone, to our latest episode on Fast Currents, where today we're going to be discussing design systems. I'm really excited because we're joined by Marcus and Sarah today. Both are experienced design leads, Sarah from London and Marcus from Copenhagen. And we're going to be diving into what is a design system, why do you need a design system, and how do you scale? Why would you say so many businesses are struggling with their inconsistent user experience across their platforms?
So I think it can be a mix of multiple factors. The first one, obviously, not having a design system. So not having a component library for each platform or each brand for each device that evolves separately and that lead to disjointed experiences. And also that creates silo teams, which is not ideal. And I think as well, one of the factors is that they might have a design system, but it might be a legacy design system that is not working. Sometimes brands do have one, but all the platforms might be difficult to integrate with new experiences and so on.
What is a design system?
Or it's a way of dividing or chopping up your design decisions, I would say, in smaller bite sizes. So when you scale or do bigger UI stuff or bigger digital experiences, it's all based on these smaller steps of decisions.
Reusable components, standards, and documentation that is going to guide how a digital product is designed and is built. And most important is going to ensure consistency across different platforms and potentially different markets if you have a regionalized brand.
A design system really allows for that consistency across the experience. So when I receive an email, to when I visit the website, to when I walk into the store.
Yeah, and obviously, when you have consistency across multiple channels, the emotional response of your users is going to be better because one of the problems with having inconsistencies is that you're gonna lose customer trust. You are gonna have higher bounce rates, abandonment rates, and you're not going to convert as much, especially if you are a big brand where you potentially have regionalization and you have multiple products across different markets. Having a design system where you have a shared set of foundations across all those markets, that's going to be really helpful.
Do you believe that actually one of the critical factors that we need to consider now is that we need a design system in place to allow AI enablement?
If we have a system that becomes the reference, the AI can easily populate it further or and put content into the system. And soon maybe AI can also create the systems, and we're gonna be helping the AI to do it right or prompting for. It probably can already, I assume, because it is so uh, systematic. A lot of all these design systems, they all have the same components. We know there's going to be buttons and fonts and colors, and um, yeah, I think AI is going to be
And
a really
I think there's
helpful tool
already
for it.
tools out there that are allowing to already integrate AI and design systems, use components and guidelines from a design system to create quick prototypes that are already coded through AI and so on. But that's also why it's important to map out how do you want your design system to evolve. Because if you're at the beginning of the maturity of your design system, most likely you're already feeling inconsistencies and inefficient collaboration. So every time you delay investing on a roadmap for your design system, you're staying small. And the world is going fast, AI is going fast, but you need to move smart as well, not just faster. And that's the difference, I think, between businesses that are always trying to keep up versus the businesses that are adapting at all times, especially in these times with AI.
So you've touched upon, Sarah, there, maturity. Now, we see it with our clients all the time. They're on a spectrum of kind of meeting unmet to the unimagined experiences. But when we think about design systems, What does that maturity scale look like?
So obviously, if you're in an initial phase, you don't have a design system at all. You might be emerging into a design system by having a library and so on. But then you need to define that and how is that going to scale. If you look at these leading companies, the structure that they have is super scalable. There's a type of framework that allows them to evolve digital experiences, and they use a design system as a product to accelerate it. It's not just I have a library of components, but a strategic, agile, and integrated framework that allows them to scale quickly.
We see a lot of businesses at the moment going through this rapid transformation, one taking in the consideration of AI, but also we're seeing a lot of like design to code. And how would you say that is rapidly changing the kind of importance of having a design system?
Having those guidelines or, for example, design tokens, um, it's already improving the process and that handoff between design and development, which is what is happening in a lot of companies, right? That they work in silos. Design and development are not connecting, especially if they don't have a design system because they don't have a reference to take into the process. So design systems is already, and I think Marcus, you said this at the beginning, is already a way of working that improves that process between design and development.
But could you explain the different components of what a design system is and why they're critical to its success?
Yes. So the very base of a design system would be what you just mentioned, which is design tokens. And design tokens essentially are reusable values for the design foundations of your system. For example, colors, typography. You might have a primary color, you might have a secondary color. And these are coded values. And this is super important because it means that when you do a change on one of those values, it will change in all the products that you have in your digital space. So you ensure that you can iterate without affecting consistency, basically. So that is your foundation of your design system. And then you have the UI components. So you use those design tokens to add properties into components like buttons, product cards, bars, header, footer, things like that. On top of that, you have your documentation and your guidelines. So that is, okay, I have a design system now, but how do I use this? What are the UX patterns? How does accessibility come into the picture? Essentially, it's just rules to use those components and those design tokens.
So, would you say that design systems are the missing link between design and developers, and specifically front end developers?
It's a very nice tool of aligning and a cool way for looking at the same thing in Figma and front enders pointing out your mistakes and your inconsistencies.
Developers with especially front end, without that source of truth that has the design tokens and that it has a specific guidance on how components should behave across multiple platforms and so on, um, they're just a little bit lost. So having that source of truth is really helpful to ensure that consistency.
And do you think that there are any brands out there absolutely smashing it?
I think once you have a design system, as you said, you're gonna have a quicker go to market. You can forget about internal problems like misalignments and silo teams and so on. And I do agree that that's going to allow businesses to focus on what it's important. You're going to take out the noise of ways of working and having development and design completely working in silo tracks. And now you can focus on a strategy, you can focus on growth, on innovation and scaling your business.
The business is defined out of something digital. I think they usually do a lot better in this because they it's so much part of their product, so it's defined. It comes from the inside out of defining their product. I mean, Google did this super cool open source design system, basically educating us all on how it should be and how flexible a system can be.
The foundations you and the reason you should have a design system is the fact that it needs to mature. It needs to have that space, and therefore it can't be static.
Yeah, we also get clients who say, "Can you just make a template for us? We need a template for this page type or this ad type." And we're like, "But we need a bit of knowledge on the content you want to put in it. We need to practice before we can make it a template."
Brands that know how to adapt to that maturity system before they even get there, because they might not be already in an optimized space, but they are already thinking on scalability, for example, right? Brands that don't have regionalization just yet, but they are already building a design system thinking, what if I do need regionalization?
So, how much would you say that we're losing in customer trust and even revenue by failing to create that consistent, coherent experience across all of those different platforms?
I think it's tough to measure also, right? But that's also why it's tough to make it a business case rather than a way of working.
Losing your audience trust is a most likely a direct consequence of not having a design system or having a poor design system. And it's an important one, because how can I remember a brand if every time I interact with this brand in multiple touch points, it looks completely different, right? So I think when your users stop trusting your brand, you're going to have higher bounce rates, you're going to have abandonment rates, you are going to have lower conversion, for instance, um, and you're going to have developers solving problems constantly.
Businesses listening today haven't yet implemented a design system. How do they get moving? How do they get started?
I mean, a lot of brands they design their whole brand around those single instances and how it looks on a sticker or on something irrelevant or less relevant. But but here on digital is where people are actually interacting with your brand.
Question one: do you have a design system? Do you need one? Do you have a library? Do you have any sort of foundations that you can already use to get going? But also, I don't know if you remember at the beginning, we talked about sometimes having legacy libraries that might be difficult to implement and so on. And I mentioned that's where an accelerator can help, right? Um, so it doesn't have to be that you need to build everything from scratch. You can use an accelerator, which you can think of as a vanilla design system that you are able to adapt to your business, right? And it's a proven design system framework that has been used, that has been tested, that we know it works.
The one takeaway you want clients to take away from this?
Fragmented workflows and inconsistent design aren't just operational issues, they are growth blockers. And it slow down your teams, they delay your product delivery, and of course, customers are going to lose trust. So if you want to have better workflows, if you want to have quicker product launches and not have siloed teams, a design system is definitely an investment that you need to make.
It makes the job more fun, I think. Also for the stakeholders, it's a way of making transparent processes and for clients to understand what it is they're deciding on.
Thank you both for your time today. And yeah, I'm excited to hear what's next on our next Fast Currents episode.